This is French grammar lesson number 2 by myself, Mr. Crucides. This is about the French present tense. So before we tackle the French present tense, we really need to get a good understanding of what the present tense in English is. Otherwise, it's all a bit of a waste of time, really. So when do we use, what is the present tense and when do we use it? So it's a very, very common tense in English. So therefore, it's a very common tense in French as well. The French use it in exactly the same way as we use it, which is handy. And we use it to talk about things that are happening now or things that happen in general. So, for example, actually in English we have two present tenses. I play and I am playing. That's both of those are present tense. I eat, I am eating, both present tense. The good news is that in French there's only one present tense. So I play, I am playing, it's the same thing in French. That makes it therefore quite difficult for French people learning English because they have to think, oh, which present tense should I use? Do I need to translate this verb as I play or I am playing? For us it's easy. I play, I am playing. It's exactly the same thing in French, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. So to fully understand the present tense, you need to memorize a verb. You need to be able to decline a verb. Now, declining a verb means learning all the different verb forms, but that's all completely useless if you don't know what these subject pronouns mean. Now, it's not important you know what the subject pronouns are. You just need to make sure that you understand what these words on the screen mean. Je, I. Tu is you, singular you, if you're talking to one person. Il and elle is he and she. On means literally one, but nobody apart from the Queen says one. Better way to translate on would be we. Nous is also another way of saying we. Vous is you plural, so if you were talking to a group. And il and elle both mean they. The difference between il and elle in the plural is elle is for an all-female group that you're talking about, and il you use for an all-male group. If it's a mixed group, even if it's 1,000 women and one man, you would still use il. So you need to learn these pronouns, you need to know what these words mean, and you need to learn them. When you're declining a verb, you need to always do it in this order. Je, tu, il, elle, on. Nous, vous, il and elle. Je. Okay, this isn't quite so important, but je is the first person singular, tu is the second person singular, il, elle and on are the third person singular, and nous first person plural, vous second person plural, il and elle third person plural. So here's the French present tense. As you might have known from my lesson on the infinitive, there are three groups of verbs that end in er, IR and RE. This is an ER verb. Je regarde, tu regardes, il, elle, on me regarde, nous regardons, vous regardez, and il and elle regardent. So as you can see here, the ending of the verb changes depending on who is doing the action. So je means I, so the I ending ends in an E, but nous, which means we, the ending is ONS, so it changes. Now this is really different from English, because if I'm declining a verb in English, you just say I watch, you watch, same word watch, he, she watches. Okay, so it's changed there. We watch, you watch, they watch. So it's kind of too easy in English. It's always the word watch, apart from in the third person singular, that's the he, the she or the it part, where it changes to watches. But in French it changes a lot. Every verb form, well, there are lots of differences between the different verb forms depending on who is doing the action. So you need to learn the endings. For speaking, this is less of a problem because a lot of them are pronounced the same. Je regarde, tu regardes, il, elle, on regarde. They're all pronounced the same. And il and elle in the plural, il, elle regarde with the ENT, that is also pronounced as regarde, not regard or something like that. So in speaking, you can get away with a lot more, but with writing, if you spell them wrong, it's very, very obvious. So to form the present tense endings, all you have to do is take the infinitive, the verb you find in the dictionary, take off the ER and add, for je, add an E, for tu, add an ES, for il, elle and on, add an E again, for nous, add ONS, for vous, add an EZ, and for il and elle, add an ENT. Notice also when you're speaking, il regarde, third person singular, he watches, is pronounced exactly the same as il regarde, third person plural, they watch. And the same with elle regarde, exactly the same. Remember that consonants at the end of French words are generally not pronounced. So you need to memorize these endings, and you also need to memorize this verb in the correct order. And all other ER verbs in the French language, of which there are literally thousands, follow exactly the same pattern, with the exception of a few irregular ones. So always remember it in the order je, tu, il, nous, vous, il. It makes it so much easier if you memorize a verb always in the same order. So it goes I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. So just memorize je regarde, tu regardes, il regarde, nous regardons, vous regardez, il regarde. Notice I only did the il form there. That's because I know that il, elle and en are always the same, and il and elle in the plural are always the same. But feel free, if you need to decline a verb, go je regarde, tu regardes, il regarde, elle regarde, on regarde, nous regardons, vous regardez, il regarde, elle regarde. But you might want to just cut it down a little bit. So remember the order, remember those endings, and remember how do you get to those endings. Take the infinitive, take off er, and add the endings which are in bold and underlined. For an RE verb, it's very similar. Take off the RE, and these are the endings. Je vends, tu vends, il, elle, on vend. No pronunciation difference there. Notice the il and elle, that there's no ending at all, really. Nous vendons, vous vendez, il, elle, vendent. Again, memorize the endings. Make sure you memorize it in the correct order. And remember to form the endings, take off the RE, add S, add nothing, add ONS, add EZ, add ENT. For the IR verb, this one's a little bit tricky. Luckily, there are not too many IR verbs in French, but to form the present tense, like you did for the RE and the ER verbs, take off IR and add these endings. Je finis, tu finis, il, elle, on finit. Again, fini, 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 same pronunciation. Here it goes a bit strange. Nous finissons, vous finissez, il, elle finissent. So it goes a bit strange in the plural there, but remember the endings, remember the order. All IR verbs follow this pattern. Here are some verbs that you just need to learn separately because they are very, they're irregular, but they're also very common. So, je suis, tu es, il, elle, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils, elles sont. That's the verb to be. So I am, you are, he is, we are, you are, they are. And the verb to have, avoir, j'ai, tu as, il a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. Sorry, there should be an extra E before the S in the word elle in the third person plural there. Same on this slide as well. So here are two more irregular verbs. You just need to learn these separately. There are no other verbs that follow this pattern. So the verb to go, je vais, tu vas, il va, nous allons, vous allez, ils vont. And the verb to do, je fais, tu fais, il fait, nous faisons, vous faites, ils font. Again, no other verbs follow that pattern. You just need to learn this one separately. Same with these verbs. Je dois, tu dois, il doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent. Je peux, tu peux, il peut, nous pouvons, vous pouvez, ils peuvent. That's the verb to be able to or can. And two other ones that are very common, vouloir, to want, and voir, to see. Again, you need to learn these separately because they don't follow a standard pattern. They're a law unto themselves, these verbs. Je veux, tu veux, il veut, nous voulons, vous voulez, ils veulent. And voir, je vois, tu vois, il voit, nous voyons, vous voyez, il voit. So going back to the regular verbs, the ER, the RE, and the and the IR verbs. There's the model. All the verbs in the boxes above follow exactly the same patterns. I mean, there are thousands more verbs that I could have written, but I've just written in the ER, visiter, écouter. So can you decline, I don't know, pick a verb at random, like danser. Can you decline it like regarder? The endings are the same. So it would go, je danse, tu danses, il, elle, on danse, nous dansons, vous dansez, il danse. So choose another one. Can you follow the pattern? Can you add the correct endings in as you conjugate a verb that's not the one that I've just written down there? Same with an RE verb. Can you decline an RE verb like vendre? Again, they all follow the same pattern, and same with the IR ones. Instead of reciting the verb finir every time, Choose a different one. Choose choisir. Could you decline it exactly the same as finir? Je choisis, tu choisis, il choisit, nous choisissons, vous choisissez, ils choisissent. So just practice with different verbs, but feel free just to stick to the model one for now. But all the other ones, all regular ER verbs follow that same pattern on the left. All RE verbs follow exactly the same pattern as vendre, the one in the middle, and all regular IR verbs follow the same pattern as finir on the right. So here's present tense in action. Feel free just to press pause here to give yourself some thinking time before I highlight the answers. Remember that there are two different ways to translate the present tense, the I play, but also I am playing. I play in general, but I am playing right now. And notice the difference between the you, the vous is the you plural, and tu is the you singular. And en you can translate two ways, either as one, but one is a very poor way to translate it into English, it probably wouldn't make much sense. Better way to translate en is using the word we. Again, nous means we as well. Nous, en, pretty much the same thing as far as we're concerned. Okay, can you add the correct ending to these verbs? So this is testing your knowledge of ER verbs. So what's the ending if you're using je as a subject? Just add an E. Maybe press pause before I give all the answers away. And finally, I've given you the infinitives. Again, press pause, try and write these down on a piece of paper or say them out loud. Can you put these into French? If you can do this, then you've really got a good understanding of ER verbs. I don't think any of these test knowledge of RE or IR verbs. Oh, by the way, for the he arrives one, it should be in brackets arrive with an extra R on the end. But I'm sure you spotted that because you know that all infinitives should end with ER, IR or RE. So we play. Nous jouons. Il mange. Je parle. Il danse. Nous visitons. Il arrive. Vous habitez. Nous gagnons. Ils adorent. Nous aimons. Ils détestent. Elle parle. Elle parle. Just put that one in, just to confuse you at the end, because in French, remember that there's only one present tense. In English there's two, so she speaks, she is speaking. It's exactly the same thing. For they hate, ils détestent, I could have written they are hating. It's the same thing. We like, we are liking. They love, they are loving. So I hope that didn't catch you out there. Okay, so here's a few more. This time I've not given you the infinitives. So this is testing your vocabulary too. So press pause, write them down, see if you can get the answers right. Okay, here are the answers. Nous visitons. Il danse, je parle, il parle, elle gagne, tu détestes, elle aime, nous adorons, on adore, ils écoutent, je joue, vous nagez, nous aimons, or on aime. So, recap on the present tense. You use the present tense in French exactly just as we do in English. That's to say, you use it to talk about an action that happens in general, or one that is happening right now. All verbs in French follow the same patterns, but the endings change depending on who is doing the verb. So you need to learn one model for an ER group, one for the RE pattern and one of the IR pattern, and then just apply those endings to different to other verbs that are in that particular group. There we go. So you need to memorize the endings of one ER verb like regarder, one RE verb like vendre, and one IR verb like finir. All other verbs follow the pattern except irregular verbs, which you have to learn separately. I've shown you about 6 irregular verbs, 6 of the most common irregular verbs. Learn those, but there are plenty more, unfortunately. Present tense is probably one of the most complicated tenses, which has the greatest number of irregularities. But if you can just memorize one ER, one RE, and one IR, and some of the most common some of the most common irregular ones, then that's a really, really good starting point, certainly for GCSE level.